When Grace Kelly, Hollywood's golden starlet, exchanged vows with Prince Rainier III, she left behind the glitz of the silver screen to embrace the grandeur of royal life as the Princess of Monaco. But did her new role truly surpass the opulence and freedom of her days in Hollywood? The reality of her marriage turned out to be far more complex than the fairy tale image the world had envisioned. Though her royal title brought immense prestige and responsibility, Grace's life in Monaco was far from the glamorous and carefree existence many had imagined. Her transition from a celebrated actress to a royal figure required her to adapt to strict protocols and a more traditional role as the wife of a reigning prince. This shift raised questions about how fulfilling her new life truly was compared to her independent and successful career in Hollywood. Was Grace able to maintain her personal identity within the confines of royal expectations? How did her marriage to Prince Rainier III affect her sense of freedom and happiness? And as time went on, did she ever yearn for the life she left behind in Tinseltown? Let's dive into all this and tragic ending as we delve into details. Grace Kelly. From Hollywood starlet to Princess of Monaco. Grace Kelly's journey from a celebrated actress to royalty began long before her fateful meeting with Prince Rainier III of Monaco. Born on November 12, 1929 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, she grew up in a prominent and well-to-do family. Her father, John B. Kelly, was a three-time Olympic gold medalist in rowing, and her mother, Margaret, was a former athlete and educator. Grace's early life was marked by discipline and ambition, traits instilled by her parents. Education and Hollywood career. Grace attended the prestigious Ravenhill Academy and later pursued acting at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York. Her passion for the arts quickly translated into a flourishing career. By her early 20s, she had graced Broadway and soon captured Hollywood's attention. Her breakout role came in High Noon, 1952, which was followed by a string of iconic films, including Rear Window and To Catch a Thief. Known for her poise, beauty, and grace, fittingly, she earned critical acclaim and won an Academy Award for Best Actress for her role in The Country Girl, 1954. Affairs and engagements. As Grace's star rose, so did public fascination with her personal life. She was romantically linked to several high-profile men, including her High Noon co-star Gary Cooper and filmmaker Clark Gable. However, it was her engagement to renowned fashion designer Oleg Cassini that made headlines. Cassini, known for his charm and sophistication, seemed like a perfect match for the elegant actress. Yet fate had other plans. In 1955, while engaged to Cassini, Grace attended the Cannes Film Festival in France. It was during this trip that her life took an unexpected turn. She agreed to a photo shoot for a magazine cover with Prince Rainier III of Monaco, rerouting to the prince's palace for the session before returning to Cannes. Meeting Prince Rainier III. Grace's friend, Olivia de Havilland, later remarked that Grace was utterly enchanted by Prince Rainier. Though she was initially engaged to Cassini, her connection with the prince seemed to have ignited a spark. Grace eventually called off her engagement with Cassini, who reportedly commented, "This marriage is the best script you've ever been offered." Indeed, her marriage to Rainier was a role like no other. As chronicled in the book Once Upon a Time, Behind the Fairy Tale of Princess Grace and Prince Rainier, Grace later confided to a friend that her mother's disapproval of Cassini had significantly influenced her decision. "Do you realize if my mother hadn't been so difficult about Oleg Cassini, I probably would have married him? That one decision changed my entire future," she reportedly said. Was Grace Kelly's marriage to Prince Rainier III arranged? While the marriage between Grace Kelly and Prince Rainier III was never formally declared an arranged union, there have been persistent suggestions that external influences played a significant role. According to the book Once Upon a Time, Grace hinted that her parents, particularly her mother, were instrumental in encouraging her to marry the Prince of Monaco. But what could Prince Rainier gain from this high-profile marriage? The stakes for Monaco were substantial. As outlined in Grace Kelly, The Secret Life of a Princess, Monaco's independence agreement with France posed a looming threat. The agreement stipulated that if the Grimaldi royal family failed to produce an heir, the sovereignty of Monaco would be forfeited, and the city-state would come under French control. At the time, Prince Rainier was in a relationship with a French actress, who, unfortunately, could not have children. This complicated the situation, as the prince's ability to ensure the continuation of his lineage became a matter of national importance. Grace Kelly, on the other hand, underwent a medical examination to confirm her capability to bear children, a requirement steeped in tradition and politics that some found shocking. Financial and political undertones. Beyond the political implications, financial and economic factors also influenced the marriage. Grace Kelly's family provided a staggering $2 million dowry, a significant sum at the time. In his autobiography, The Fat Lady Sang, film producer Robert Evans suggested that the marriage was also a masterstroke of strategy, conceived by none other than Aristotle Onassis. Onassis reportedly advised Prince Rainier that the right bride could elevate Monaco's international image, much like Queen Elizabeth II's coronation had boosted Britain's global prestige. The proposal and preparations. After a whirlwind courtship that lasted just 2 weeks, Prince Rainier proposed to Grace Kelly. The announcement sent shockwaves through both Hollywood and European royalty, as it marked the beginning of a union that blended the allure of a Hollywood starlet with the gravitas of a European prince. The preparations for their wedding were nothing short of monumental. Grace's bridal trousseau was crafted by Hollywood costume designer Helen Rose, a friend of the actress. The wedding dress, gifted by MGM Studios, featured a high neckline, intricate lace, and a voluminous silk skirt, setting a new standard for bridal fashion. The veil was adorned with tiny pearls and lace appliques, symbolizing both elegance and tradition. The religious ceremony took place on April 19, 1956, at St. Nicholas Cathedral in Monaco. It was preceded by a civil ceremony the day before, as required by Monaco's laws. The celebrations were attended by a dazzling array of international dignitaries, Hollywood stars, and royal family members. The event was broadcast to millions around the world, solidifying Grace's status as not just a princess, but a global icon. A royal wedding to remember. The 1956 marriage of Prince Rainier III and Grace Kelly was nothing short of a global spectacle. Dubbed the wedding of the century, the union captivated audiences worldwide, blending Hollywood glamour with royal tradition. According to the Vanity Fair, the event drew nearly 2,000 journalists eager to cover every detail. Adding to the grandeur, MGM Studios filmed the ceremony, broadcasting it live to over 30 million viewers across Europe. A groundbreaking moment in television history. The timing of this grand affair added to its legendary status. Years later, their son, Prince Albert, reflected on its significance in an interview with the People. It was such an incredible affair, and it left such a mark on people. What it's meant for Monaco, for people around the world, and how their story continues to fascinate people, that's something unimaginable. The preparations and wedding day. Planning for the wedding began months in advance, requiring meticulous attention to detail to accommodate the immense public and royal expectations. The festivities spanned 2 days, starting with a civil ceremony on April 18, 1956, held in the throne room of Monaco's palace. This legally binding union was an intimate yet formal affair, witnessed by close family and government officials. The following day, on April 19th, the religious ceremony was held at St. Nicholas Cathedral in Monaco. Grace Kelly's bridal gown, designed by MGM's Helen Rose, became the stuff of legend. The dress featured over 300 yards of silk taffeta and antique lace with intricate hand-sewn embellishments. A demure high neckline and long sleeves epitomized elegance, while her iconic veil, decorated with pearls, extended to a dramatic length, adding to her ethereal appearance. The cathedral was adorned with white flowers, creating a serene and majestic atmosphere. The guest list boasted European royalty, Hollywood stars, and international dignitaries, while millions watched from their television screens. The ceremony was steeped in tradition, with Prince Rainier clad in a military uniform that symbolized his role as Monaco's ruler. Behind the scenes, Grace's jitters. Despite the fairy tale aura, the wedding preparations were overwhelming for Grace. Known for her poise on screen, she found the spotlight on her personal life to be a different challenge altogether. Prince Albert revealed to the People that his mother described the entire event as overwhelming. Her witty sense of humor shone through when she reportedly referred to the spectacle as the carnival of the century, rather than the romanticized fairy tale many perceived it to be. The physical and emotional toll of the wedding was undeniable. As Prince Albert shared, "Mom said it was so exhausting. When they left on their honeymoon and boarded the boat, they both just kind of passed out from sheer exhaustion." The aftermath. While the wedding itself was a spectacle of glamour and tradition, the motivations behind the marriage, whether political, financial, or romantic, have continued to fascinate historians and fans alike. Grace Kelly's transformation from Hollywood royalty to Princess of Monaco remains one of the most captivating stories of the 20th century. Grace Kelly's farewell to acting. By the mid-1950s, Grace Kelly had firmly established herself as one of Hollywood's most sought-after stars. Her charm, beauty, and talent captivated audiences and directors alike. In 1954, her career hit a major milestone when she received her first Academy Award nomination and took home her first Golden Globe. That same year, she signed a 7-year contract with MGM, aligning herself with the biggest names in the industry. Her collaboration with the legendary Alfred Hitchcock during this time became a defining feature of her career, with Hitchcock not only becoming her mentor, but also a trusted friend. In 1955, Grace reached the pinnacle of her acting career when she won an Academy Award for her performance in The Country Girl. Reflecting on her career, she once said, "When I was acting, my private life was very much my own." However, this independence and professional success would soon take a backseat to her personal life. Grace Kelly's marriage to Prince Rainier III of Monaco in 1956 marked the end of her Hollywood career. While her wedding was hailed as a fairy tale by many, it also came with significant sacrifices. Marrying into Monaco's royal family required her to give up her career and adapt to the role of a princess, a transition that was anything but easy. According to the book Once Upon a Time Behind the Fairy Tale of Princess Grace and Prince Rainier, Grace tried to keep ties to her old Hollywood life by inviting her famous friends to the palace in Monaco. However, these visits often created tension. Prince Rainier reportedly felt uneasy when Grace's friends addressed her as Gracie instead of using her formal title, Princess Grace. This cultural clash and the prince's reservations about Hollywood life were dramatized in the 2014 movie Grace of Monaco, starring Nicole Kidman. Struggles with letting go. Grace did not initially realize the full extent of the sacrifices she would have to make. Leaving behind a flourishing career was a bittersweet decision, one that continued to haunt her. In a candid interview with the Los Angeles Times in 1964, she admitted, "I miss acting. Once you're bitten with the acting bug, you never really get over it. I don't feel as though I achieved enough in my career to stand out more than many other people." Despite her longing to return to the silver screen, Prince Rainier strongly opposed her resuming her acting career. According to the Kinfolk, he publicly stated, "I don't want my wife to work." His traditional views extended beyond her professional aspirations, influencing many aspects of her life. A search for self-expression. Feeling constrained in her royal role, Grace sought other creative outlets. She began hosting annual poetry readings, an effort to reclaim some sense of personal expression and autonomy. However, even in these moments, she found little support from Rainier. Biographer James Spada told the South Florida Sun-Sentinel, "I feel that the prince contributed to her unhappiness in later life. He was not an emotionally giving person. He did not let her live her own life." When she began giving her annual poetry readings, her way of finding a means of self-expression, he didn't attend them for several years. Grace Kelly's brief escape to Hollywood. By the mid-1970s, Grace Kelly, once a reigning star of Hollywood, found herself yearning for the world she had left behind. Although she had embraced her role as Princess Grace of Monaco, there was an undeniable pull toward the glamorous life she had lived before. An unexpected opportunity arose in 1976 that seemed to offer a chance to reconnect with her Hollywood roots. According to Once Upon a Time, Grace's former agent, Jay Cantor, reached out with a proposal that could reintroduce her to the entertainment world. 20th Century Fox, one of the leading film studios, extended an offer for Grace to become the first woman to serve on its board of directors. The proposition was groundbreaking and showed recognition of her intelligence and influence, not just her star power. Cantor, who had known Grace during her Hollywood years, was surprised when she accepted the offer without hesitation. After all, by this time, Grace was deeply entrenched in royal life in Monaco, balancing her duties as a princess and mother. But the allure of returning to the creative world proved irresistible. A return to show business. While her official role as a board member would involve contributing to the studio's strategic decisions, Grace had a deeper motivation for accepting the position. For her, this was not just about being a part of a prestigious organization. It was a chance to rekindle her connection with show business. The studio's meetings, often held in Los Angeles or New York, allowed Grace a rare opportunity to step away from the constraints of her royal duties. Her candid reasoning, as quoted in Kinfolk, revealed her longing for occasional freedom. "It gets me away from Monaco at least 4 times a year." For a woman whose life had been largely dictated by protocol and expectations, this chance to immerse herself in the world of film, even in a peripheral capacity, was a breath of fresh air. The context of the escape. Grace's decision to join 20th Century Fox's board came at a time when her royal life was becoming increasingly structured and predictable. Despite the fairy tale image of her marriage and royal responsibilities, she often missed the dynamic, creative energy of her past. The late 1970s offered her an avenue to rediscover some of that excitement while maintaining her dignity as a princess. Though Grace's time as a board member was relatively brief, the role allowed her to reconnect with industry professionals and the lifestyle she had once thrived in. She could contribute her unique perspective as both an artist and a global icon, a combination that few others could claim. A symbol of independence. Grace Kelly's decision to step into this role was also a subtle assertion of her individuality. While she fully embraced her responsibilities as a royal, this move demonstrated that she had not entirely abandoned the person she had been before becoming Princess Grace. It was her way of keeping a small part of her Hollywood legacy alive, a reminder that her identity was multifaceted. In hindsight, her involvement with 20th Century Fox was not just an escape, but also a reclaiming of her agency. It was a statement that even as a princess, she remained Grace Kelly, the actress who had once captivated audiences and critics alike. Scandals behind the palace walls. The marriage between Grace Kelly and Prince Rainier III appeared to be a fairy tale from the outside, but behind closed doors, their union was far from perfect. Beyond their vastly different upbringings, Grace as a Hollywood starlet from Philadelphia and Rainier as the ruler of Monaco, their romantic lives were marred by rumors of infidelity on both sides. These whispers painted a picture of a relationship strained by emotional distance and unmet expectations. According to celebrity biographer Wendy Lee, Prince Rainier's loyalty to Grace began to waver alarmingly soon after their wedding in 1956. In her book, The True Grace, Lee alleged that within just a month of their nuptials, the prince had already been romantically linked to multiple women. Lee wrote, "Grace was humiliated and she was extremely unhappy," emphasizing the emotional toll Rainier's actions had on his new bride. For a woman who had left behind a thriving Hollywood career, these revelations were not only heartbreaking, but also isolating. Grace had given up much to assume her role as Princess of Monaco, including her independence and creative pursuits. The betrayal cut deeply, casting a shadow over the fairy tale image their marriage projected. Grace Kelly's silent struggles. Grace, known for her composed and elegant demeanor, did not air her grievances publicly. However, according to reports, she privately confided her pain to close confidants. One such account came from her hairstylist, to whom she allegedly admitted, "I know my husband has affairs with other women. That's very frustrating to me and makes me very unhappy." Despite the glamour and privilege of royal life, these moments revealed the very human struggles Grace endured. She was not merely a princess living in a palace. She was a woman grappling with the heartbreak of a partner's infidelity. Rumors suggest that Grace may have sought solace in rekindling connections with some of her past acquaintances. Speculation surrounds her friendships with Hollywood icons like Marlon Brando and Frank Sinatra, both of whom had shared a close rapport with Grace during her acting years. Whether these relationships crossed the line into romance is unclear, but they undeniably offered her a sense of familiarity and perhaps a reminder of the life she had left behind. A marriage of complexity. The marriage between Grace and Rainier was never simple. It was a union steeped in political and social expectations, and one that demanded sacrifices from both sides. Yet, while Rainier's infidelities seemed to create distance between the couple, Grace's response demonstrated her quiet resilience. She bore the pain with dignity, even as she privately longed for the freedom and happiness she had once enjoyed. Her famous quote, "Not everybody's lucky enough to marry a prince," rings with a bittersweet truth. On one hand, it captures the privilege and status her marriage brought. On the other, it subtly acknowledges the challenges and emotional costs that came with her royal title. Family life in the spotlight. Grace Kelly and Prince Rainier III, the reigning monarchs of Monaco, welcomed 3 children into their royal family: Prince Albert II, Princess Caroline, and Princess Stephanie. From the outside, their family appeared picture-perfect, but beneath the glittering surface, their relationships were far more complex. Despite the fairy tale image of the Grimaldi household, it was the children's nanny, Maureen Wood, who played a pivotal role in their upbringing. Princess Caroline once candidly revealed in the biography Albert II of Monaco, The Man and the Prince, "For my brother and I, Maureen was the key figure in our life. When we were little, we were probably closer to our nanny than to our parents." This statement highlighted a distance that often existed between the royal parents and their children. a gap perhaps widened by their busy schedules and the weight of their public roles. Maureen was not just a caretaker, but a source of stability and affection in the Grimaldi children's formative years. Her presence became a cornerstone of their childhood, offering a sense of normalcy in a life otherwise marked by royal obligations and scrutiny. Grace's role as a mother. Although Princess Caroline's remarks suggest a degree of emotional distance, Prince Albert's reflections paint a more nuanced picture of his relationship with Grace. In an interview with The People, Albert shared that his mother faced challenges adjusting to royal life after leaving her Hollywood career behind. He said, "Yeah, coming to live here and having to behave in a certain way must have been hard for her at first." Despite the challenges, Grace found immense joy in her children. Known for her warmth and grace, she often expressed how much her family meant to her. In her own words, she once remarked, "My children give me a great deal of happiness." Her dedication to them, though often overshadowed by royal duties, was evident in the moments they shared as a family. Prince Rainier's reflection. Prince Rainier III, a figure often perceived as reserved and formal, appeared to recognize the shortcomings in his approach to fatherhood later in life. As his children grew older, he expressed regret over not being more present during their early years. In a poignant reflection shared with the Chicago Tribune, he admitted, "My only regret is to have not been available enough to take care of my children during their tender years, and it is too late to make up for lost time." Rainier's acknowledgement of his absence underscored the unique challenges of parenting within the constraints of royal life. His duties as a ruler often took precedence, leaving little room for the kind of familial intimacy he later yearned for. For Grace and Rainier, balancing their royal responsibilities with their roles as parents was no easy feat. Grace, in particular, faced the challenge of transitioning from a celebrated Hollywood actress to a royal consort, a role that demanded her full attention. Meanwhile, Rainier's focus on governing Monaco often kept him away from home, leaving the children in the care of nannies and tutors. The Grimaldi children, while privileged, also bore the weight of public expectations. Growing up in the spotlight meant their actions and choices were constantly scrutinized, adding an additional layer of complexity to their relationships with their parents. Struggles within the palace walls. After stepping away from her celebrated Hollywood career to marry Prince Rainier III, Grace Kelly transformed into Princess Grace of Monaco. While her fairy tale wedding captured the world's imagination, the reality of her life in the Mediterranean microstate was far from idyllic. Beneath the glamorous facade of royal life, Grace endured periods of profound sadness and isolation. One of the most poignant insights into Grace's struggles comes from a bold statement she reportedly made to a reporter, as cited in the High Society, The Life of Grace Kelly. "I don't expect to be happy and I don't look for happiness." These words reflect a deep resignation, suggesting that the transition from the silver screen to the palace was far more challenging than she had anticipated. Although the biography notes that Grace wasn't perpetually depressed, she experienced moments of acute loneliness and sadness. The cultural shift she faced after leaving the bustling energy of Hollywood for the traditional and reserved world of Monaco compounded her struggles. Navigating a new life. Grace herself touched on these challenges in a candid 1982 interview with 2020 Thigh, where she remarked, "Mediterranean countries don't accept change very easily." This sentiment hints at the difficulties she faced in adapting to a society steeped in tradition and resistant to new ideas, particularly those brought by an outsider. Her role as a royal consort required her to relinquish much of her individuality and independence, a sacrifice that weighed heavily on her spirit. Comparisons to Princess Diana. Grace Kelly's experience has often been likened to that of Princess Diana, another woman who married into royalty and found herself grappling with the pressures and constraints of her new role. Interestingly, the two women crossed paths early in Diana's journey as a royal. In Diana, Her True Story. In her own words, the Princess of Wales recalled meeting Grace at a formal event. Diana described Grace as wonderful and serene, yet she also noticed an undercurrent of turmoil, adding, "There was troubled water under her, I saw that." This brief encounter between the two women highlights the shared challenges they faced as iconic figures navigating the often isolating world of royalty. Grace's struggles stem not only from her personal adjustments, but also from the immense expectations placed upon her as the Princess of Monaco. She was expected to embody perfection, both as a royal figure and as a wife and mother, while sacrificing the freedom and creativity she had enjoyed as a Hollywood star. Her life became a balancing act as she worked tirelessly to fulfill her royal duties, raise her children, and maintain the image of a graceful and poised princess. Yet beneath the surface, the loss of her former life and the constraints of her new one took a toll on her well-being. The loss of privacy. Like many high-profile figures, Grace Kelly and Prince Rainier III faced an unrelenting lack of privacy after their marriage. Much like the British royal family, the couple became targets of relentless media attention, especially as Grace transitioned from beloved Hollywood star to Princess of Monaco. Biographer Jay Jorgensen, author of the Grace Kelly Hollywood Dream Girl, shared with Closer Weekly that Grace longed for personal time. He noted, the one thing she would talk about was time. She would say that she wanted privacy a little bit. Though she once thrived under the Hollywood spotlight, Grace was unprepared for the relentless scrutiny that followed her as a princess. Unlike the controlled and often glamorous world of movie premieres and film sets, her life as royalty meant that every detail of her personal and family life became public property. Even her moments with Prince Rainier, which she had hoped would be intimate and free from outside pressures, were often intruded upon by paparazzi and curious onlookers. A Monaco far from glamorous. When Grace married Rainier in the 1950s, Monaco was a far cry from the sophisticated, luxurious destination it is today. According to biographer Jeffrey Robinson, the tiny principality faced major infrastructure challenges, which likely added stress to Grace's adjustment. Robinson described the situation to Closer Weekly, explaining that the electricity and plumbing were 19th century French, and even the telephones didn't work. This shift from the comfort of Hollywood's modernity to Monaco's more antiquated systems made daily life much harder than Grace had anticipated. The challenges of raising royal children. The lack of privacy didn't only affect Grace and Rainier, but extended to their children as well. The constant media presence around their family home meant that even simple activities, like attending school or going to classes, required secrecy and elaborate planning. In a 1982-2020 interview, Grace revealed the extreme measures she had to take to protect her daughter Stephanie from photographers. Just so the paparazzi wouldn't follow her, Grace recalled, she had to go to gymnastics classes in the trunk of the car. Living under such intense scrutiny took a toll on Grace's well-being. Despite her grace under pressure, she often felt trapped and yearned for the simpler, more private life she once enjoyed. The stress of maintaining a royal image, combined with the continuous invasions of her family's personal space, contributed to a sense of isolation and weariness. This lack of privacy and the ever-present paparazzi likely intensified the complexities of her royal marriage, making her life in Monaco far more demanding and exhausting than anticipated. A question of true love. After Grace Kelly's tragic death in 1982, speculation about the nature of her relationship with Prince Rainier III resurfaced. Many accounts, both critical and sympathetic, have painted varying pictures of their marriage. Some reports suggested tension and unhappiness, while others hinted at genuine love and commitment despite the challenges they faced. Grace herself spoke about the constant media intrusion into her personal life, especially regarding her marriage. In an interview with 2020, shortly before her death, she addressed the false narratives spun by tabloids. "The paparazzi make up things, they make up romances," she said. "According to the press, my husband and I are constantly being divorced, which is also not the case." Her words highlighted the emotional strain of living under such intense public scrutiny, while also attempting to defend the sanctity of her marriage. Rumors of infidelity surrounded Prince Rainier throughout their union, leading some to question his devotion to Grace. However, those close to the royal family often remarked on his deep love for her. According to the book My Days with Princess Grace of Monaco, Rainier was profoundly affected by her passing. He reportedly never recovered emotionally from her loss and chose never to remarry, a poignant testament to his feelings for Grace. The tragic end. Grace Kelly's life came to an untimely end on September 14, 1982, in Monte Carlo. While driving with her daughter, Princess Stephanie, she suffered a cerebral hemorrhage, which caused her to lose control of her vehicle. The resulting crash was fatal for Grace and left Stephanie with minor injuries. The incident shocked the world and left Monaco mourning the loss of its beloved princess. While their marriage was often under public scrutiny and burdened by royal responsibilities, there were undeniable signs of affection and loyalty between Grace and Rainier. Her untimely death marked the end of a partnership that was as complex as it was significant. Rainier's decision to remain unmarried after her passing underscored the impact Grace had on his life, and her legacy as both a Hollywood icon and Monaco's princess continues to captivate the world. A royal curse or just bad luck? The Grimaldi royal family of Monaco has long been entangled in a tale of mystery and misfortune. Much like a select few historical dynasties, they are said to be under a lingering curse. This ominous legend, dating back centuries, has cast a shadow over their history, leading many to wonder if their turbulent lives are the result of something more than coincidence. The Grimaldis originated from Genoa, Italy, and officially established their control over Monaco in 1419. Over the centuries, the family became synonymous with power and prestige. Prince Rainier III's great-grandfather, Albert I, brought progressive change by introducing Monaco's first constitution in 1911, marking a significant moment in the principality's governance. Yet even before these strides, an eerie legend had already started weaving itself into the family's story: the curse of the witch. According to lore, the curse began in the 13th century when a Grimaldi prince, possibly Rainier's ancestor, kidnapped a witch. The enraged woman, in her final act of defiance, reportedly cast a curse upon the Grimaldi bloodline. Her chilling words have echoed through history. Never will a Grimaldi find true happiness in marriage. Whether rooted in truth or myth, this tale has become a haunting backdrop to the family's modern-day struggles. It seems the alleged curse has manifested in the Grimaldi family's continuous brushes with scandal, divorce, and heartbreak. The Independent that described them aptly as Europe's most dysfunctional family. Infidelity, tumultuous relationships, and public controversies have followed the Grimaldis for generations. For Prince Rainier III and Grace Kelly, their union was often plagued by rumors of extramarital affairs and underlying tension. While their relationship captivated the world with its fairy tale allure, whispers of discord often overshadowed their seemingly perfect life. Even beyond the realm of marriage, tragedy has often struck the Grimaldis. The untimely death of Princess Grace in 1982 remains one of the most devastating moments in the family's history. Her passing, caused by a fatal car crash, left a void in Monaco's royal narrative that the world still mourns. Fact or fiction? Whether or not the curse of the Grimaldis is real, it undeniably serves as a poignant metaphor for the trials faced by this royal family. Despite their wealth, status, and charm, their lives have been marked by sorrow and struggles that seem disproportionate to their privilege. The Grimaldi curse might never be proven, but it continues to intrigue and haunt historians, royal watchers, and storytellers alike. Is it a tale of fate, or are the trials of the family a reflection of the immense pressures that come with their royal responsibilities? Perhaps it is both, a compelling intersection of myth and reality. With that, we have reached the end of today's show. If you have come this far with us, be sure to check out other videos on the channel.